Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everyone is well. Got a little bit of a longer lunch break today, so a little bit more time. So it is a beautiful, gorgeous day. It's not nearly as hot, thank you, Jesus. But check out the sky. Yeah, this is gorgeous. So I'm definitely gonna enjoy being out here for a little bit. My last day of the week here. But there's a few things I wanted to talk to everybody about. Some things that have come to my attention and things you may or may not be aware of. But it's kind of funny because earlier today I was thinking of the dialogue from the movie Cool Hand Luke. It came to my mind. If anybody's seen the movie, I'm sure most people probably have. I mean, it's a great movie. It's one of my favorites. But anyway, you know the part where they're beating up on poor Luke, right? And then the captain, of the, yeah, they called him captain, I think. Anyway, he says, what we've got here is failure to communicate. And he goes on with the speech, about how Luke's just not getting it. Either he doesn't want to get it, mostly he doesn't want to get it. He's a rebel, he doesn't want to get it. But he's just not getting it. So they got to beat up on Luke and try to make him understand the way things run in the prison system there. And as I was thinking about that, I felt like that was kind of like the Lord speaking to us. What we've got here is failure to communicate. Because most people just aren't getting it. They just don't see the writing on the wall. They can't see the forest through the trees. Whatever saying or cliche you want to use. They just don't get it. And it doesn't matter what's happening in the world or in the United States. I've noticed that people have an excuse for everything. Say, well, that's normal. Really? Or that's just in that area. And that doesn't affect me or my family, or that's being blown out of proportion, and that's exaggerated, and this isn't confirmed. And okay, fair enough. Well, and what I'm referring to is comments and stuff I've received. They kind of crack me up. I mean, keep them coming, because some of them really make me laugh. I mean, yeah, laughter's good medicine. But let me tell you this, okay? Certain things are unverified, not confirmed, rumorville, whatever you want to say. All right. But I will tell you this, more often than not, I have been noticing as of late that even unverified things seem to be, I don't want to say coming to pass necessarily, but let's just say they seem to be more verifiable than what people might think. I'll give you an example, okay? Remember when I mentioned a while back how I thought that the U.S. had pretty much hosed over Israel somehow, some way? I wasn't exactly sure, didn't have the details on it and so forth. Well, after that, more details began to arise, and we started to find out, there were articles and so forth. Yeah, definitely. We tried to, Biden's trying to remove the capital from Jerusalem and so forth, and the embassy and so forth, and and I said, historically, the Lord responds pretty quickly when we mess with Israel. And I was waiting to see what might happen, and a lot happened. Now, whether people want to say, well, that has to do with this or doesn't have to do with that, the bottom line is, it happened, okay? We started to see some major economic judgment. We started to see some incredible heat wave that a friend of mine was telling me about, that he's a great researcher, and he's been talking about, for years, where he was looking at a heat wave starting on June 9th for major events to occur after that. And he thinks that might be the year. This might be the year. He's still collecting data on it. But, there's a heat wave, as we know, throughout most of the United States. So that's very significant. And all of these things began to happen around the same time frame as when we hosed over Israel. Okay? And we, meaning as a nation, okay? Collectively. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And now, if people are paying attention to Weatherman Plus there, Mark, he was talking about possibly 2 hurricanes that could be developing. One hitting Texas, Louisiana area. I don't know exactly when. To be honest, I have not felt that well lately. I have not been sleeping that well lately. And I have really not been paying a whole lot of attention to a lot of different things. People send me all kinds of stuff. And a lot of videos are like a half an hour long or longer, you know. And I haven't looked at them. I'll be honest with you. I've been tired. I haven't felt well. Pretty drained, you know. And what can I say, you know? I get to things when I can. But I did notice that. And I started to count the days, and I'm like, okay, it's been about 5 days or so since the time it was reported that we got involved in Israeli affairs to where these hurricanes are beginning to develop. Okay, that's interesting. It's very interesting. And it was the same type of deal with Katrina. It's not like Katrina hit all of a sudden. First it developed. It began to develop after we made the decision to, you know, Bush made the decision way back when, and to, you know, bulldoze the Jewish settlements on the Gaza strips, and then basically New Orleans gets hammered and many people become homeless. An eye for an eye, you know. So anyway, we see how Huntsville, Alabama, I guess, had some major power outages in that area, as well as other areas. What was it, Indiana and Illinois, major shortages of food on the grocery store shelves. Then the weird thing with all the cows, that Project Gray Man, actually, I put it on my community page, and he actually reported on projectgrayman.net. He shared this testimonial from a farmer or rancher or what have you, explaining the situation. So it's not necessarily heat related, but then again, it is. It had a mixture to do with like the feed, as well as the cows not being used to this excessive heat. And then, you know, thousands of cows over, I guess, 2 different states, mostly Kansas, you know, wind up dying because they're not used to being in this extreme heat where they're, I guess, where they're bred and raised and so forth in Scotland and whatnot, where they get shipped over. It's only like 86 degrees there. So you put cows in like 105, 108 degree heat. Well, yeah. Just like anything, you know, you have dehydration and you know, heat stroke or heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and so forth. Yeah, you know, so it could definitely be a heat-related death, you know, but I think it's a mixture of things. But the bottom line is, somebody actually said, well, that's not God's judgment. Okay, well, it could be, you know, things that are manipulated by man, the weather, and so forth. The bottom line is, the Lord allows it to occur. And if people don't think that a lot of these things aren't God's judgment, I would highly recommend that you read Exodus, specifically regarding the plagues of Egypt. Maybe even, you know, in Genesis, you know, where, you know, Joseph had to prepare for the 7 years of famine, for the 7 years of plenty. You may refresh yourself with that. Remind yourself of these things. Maybe even just watch the movie The 10 Commandments or something, or The Prince of Egypt, even though it's not biblically accurate. It's a pretty good movie overall. But I mean, it'll tell you, these are plagues, what we're going through. These are judgments. These things that are happening and continually happening, this is God trying to get our attention. This is the Lord trying to get our attention. And what we have here is failure to communicate, okay? Because He's putting it all out there, but most people aren't getting it. They're not seeing it for what it is. They're making excuses, or they're saying it's not time for this, that, or this and that, and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, again, I mean, I don't subscribe to the channel, you know, to read the articles or whatever, but I do find it interesting that HowTurnerRadioshow.com mentioned, at first mentioned that there could be price controls implemented this weekend. I don't know if that happened yet or not. I don't know if it will. And then there was another one that talked about a market halt next week. And see, I didn't read the article because I didn't subscribe, pay to read it or whatever, but I'm thinking to myself, market halts, what exactly does that mean? Well, to me, it means maybe stopping trading. So for peons like you and I, that may not affect us immediately right away. But people that are heavily invested in the Babylonian beast system, known as the stock market, you know, and have put all of their eggs in one basket and constantly have been trusting in this system, they're about to lose their shirt and everything else, it sounds like. So that could be pretty bad. Are we looking at a 1929 market crash next week? I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know. And honestly, if it doesn't happen by the 21st, that's it for the spring crash. That's here for the spring time frame. So if it did happen, it would happen either in the summer, or a lot of people think, well, it'll happen in the fall, in September and so forth. Personally, I don't see it dragging on that long, but I guess it could. I mean, they kicked the can down the road I don't know how many times now. They keep kicking it down the road, I guess. I don't know. But what I do find interesting is all of these articles and all these reports are all coming together at once. And then I get a message from my friend Eddie, who's a great guy, you know. He's helped me out and many other people. And he messages me and he shows me that his bank, Chase Bank, he actually shows me exactly how they addressed him. Basically said, hey, guess what? You're not going to get any deposits into your account tomorrow because tomorrow is considered a federal holiday, because I guess Biden made it one a couple years ago or whatever, Juneteenth. And if people aren't familiar with Juneteenth, look up like the Tulsa Massacre in 1921. And I guess it was in Galveston, Texas, I don't know what it was, 1885, something like that, June 19th, and sometime in the late 1800s, where I guess in that city, it was the last place to recognize the abolishment of slavery. And that's what Juneteenth is all about. Specifically, I guess it was on June 19th, I think it was, that this came about. So that's what Juneteenth is about. And the Tulsa Massacre happened like May 31st, June 1st time frame. So, you know, that's something I never learned about in school. Pretty fascinating. I did see information on it, documentary and so forth. Pretty horrible. Pretty horrible. Just shows what happens when people are accused and people respond, especially when it has to do with race issues or just differences of opinion or what have you. People can get real violent real fast. But anyway, Juneteenth, okay? Well, tomorrow's the 19th. Happy Father's Day, by the way, for all the dads out there. But tomorrow's June 19th, and so since they can't do anything on Sunday, well, Monday, at least Chase Bank, for all intents and purposes, are closed. You know, I'm sure many other banks are too, if it's considered an actual federal holiday. But the fact that he actually gets a notice saying there's no deposits going into your account, I find that interesting. Does that mean that the banks are going to shut down and then nothing's going to open on Tuesday? No, not at all. Does that mean it's a banking holiday? No. But at the same time, it is considered, I guess, a 3-day weekend for that. And I can tell you, because I know, because I've researched this, some of the greatest atrocities regarding legislation and bills being passed in the dark of night and backroom deals being done have been done around federal holidays or time off, you know, where Congress is in recess or things of that nature, or on Christmas Eve, Thanksgiving Eve, New Year's Eve, you know, the times where people aren't paying attention. And tomorrow's Father's Day, a lot of people might be celebrating, not celebrating, whatever, you know, but really they're not paying attention. You know, they're talking about dad, or they're talking about, you know, what they're gonna do, picnics, barbecues, cookout, whatever, you know. Maybe they're sitting around doing nothing. But the bottom line is, most people aren't paying attention when it comes to major holidays, things that are celebrated, federal holidays, things of that nature. And that's when they put forth their atrocities a lot of times. So does that mean that, you know, it's going to all shut down next week? Not necessarily. And like I said, I couldn't read the article, so I don't know what market halt actually means. And if anybody has read it or they know about it, feel free to comment. I mean, leave a comment about anything you want to, you know, but, you know, if you want to share information you may have received that's helpful to us, appreciate it. But the bottom line is, I mean, it's all happening, whether people want to recognize it or not. It may not have happened according to people's certain timelines or what they thought was going to happen, when they thought they were going to happen, blah, 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 blah. But we still have a long way to go before July 4th. And the other message I have about that is I think we'll be celebrating an independence. I think for the most part, this nation will be celebrating an independence from God Almighty. Now, they're not going to look at it that way. They're not going to say that way. Everybody's like, God bless America, and red, white, and blue, and blah, 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 and fireworks, and all the rest of this stuff. But the bottom line is, this nation is celebrating its independence from God. If we get that far, which I think we probably will, which amazes me, shocks me. But I know some people that they're definitely believing that some major stuff is going to go down around July 4th, just after that. I'm not going to get into all that right now, because timelines come and go, and I understand that, and predictions come and go, and a lot of times they're not fulfilled, or if they are, they don't come to complete fulfillment. So people don't pay attention and they think, oh, that's not true, and that didn't happen, and this didn't happen. Look at the big overall picture. It may not have happened at the exact time frame or date or whatever, but things are constantly happening. They are constantly happening on a continuous cycle. So my suggestion is for people to continually look at the big pictures and think about what the Lord says about our feast days, the times that we celebrate that he couldn't give a rip about. As a matter of fact, he hates them. And think about everything we celebrate all the time, and he hates them. He cares about his feast days. He doesn't give a rip about ours. We care about ours because we're Americans and we celebrate everything. I mean, look at this month, for gosh sakes. Oh my gosh. I am so sick to death of this garbage. In your face crap. Man, what a bunch of freaks running around. Oh, Lord Almighty, have mercy. Please. I mean, oh man, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for June to end just because this won't be so much in our face anymore. Man, it's just, man, don't even get me started. What a bunch of freaks. Anyway. It's like a circus, man. It's just a bunch of circus clowns running around. But anyway, I can only imagine what it's like in the major cities. But we're in a serious time frame, folks. Major time frame, as we all know. So be paying attention to, you know, next week for sure, but you know, the rest of June all the way through July 4th time frame. I mean, and folks in Texas, Louisiana, any areas that could be affected by hurricanes, watch for things to continue to develop. Watch for things to continue to be an issue. You know, it doesn't mean they're all going to be Hurricane Katrina or whatever else. It doesn't mean that. But you have to look at things, the overall big picture, you know. And just because it's not dangerous in your area doesn't mean it's not dangerous in another area. And just because it doesn't develop to what people expect it to, watch later on down the road. We still got a lot of summer to go. Doesn't look like this heat wave is going away anytime soon. And I mean, like I said, it's a beautiful day here. It's a little warm, but not as hot as it was. But I haven't checked throughout the entire nation to see, you know, what the temperatures are everywhere. I know some places are just blasted hot, 105 degrees plus. I mean, so, but I don't know what the temperature here is. I'm guessing like high 80s, low 90s maybe, but not that horrible because there's not that oppressive humidity. But you're in those areas where it's 100 plus degrees with, you know, 99% humidity. I mean, you're suffering big time. So man, we'll see how long this heat wave continues. But anyway, I think that's about all I have for now. I can't think of anything else I was going to mention. I think I hit all the main points, the main topics. But yeah, that's what was spoken to me earlier. You know, that's what I was thinking of. You know, what we've got here is failure to communicate. And that movie kind of, you know, resonates with me anyway, because Cool Hand Luke at one time was my nickname at a place that I worked at when I was the director of safety at this place. Actually gave me the name because I was the company EMT, and you know, I just figured I was doing my job. But you know, one day, it was a weekend, a guy fell off the ladder, and anything considered like 8 feet or higher could be fatal, you know. And you know, I'm not saying I saved his life or anything, but let's just say that I got him the care that he needed as quickly as I could. And in the meanwhile, I comforted him, assessed him, stabilized him, and so forth, until the fire department ambulance arrived and, you know, controlled the scene, all that kind of stuff. And some people were impressed by that, and you know, to me, it's like I was just doing my job. You know, that's what you paid me to do. That's what you hired me to do. I mean, and it was beating my head, you know, through Navy Corpsman school and, you know, being an EMT and EMT school and so forth. Do not move the patient, you know, especially if you suspect a spinal injury, unless it's absolutely necessary. Do not move them. And I did suspect a spinal injury, so, and even if I didn't, I wasn't going to move them. There was no reason to. You know, so you just stabilize and you wait and you comfort and you do what you can to make them as comfortable as possible, you know, before the fire department arrives, you know. And people are like, they're just onlookers, you know. There's like, oh my gosh, and I can't believe this, and I can't believe we witnessed this, and oh my, you know. And it's just like, to me, it's just no big deal, you know. You feel bad for the people that get hurt and injured, and I've told people for a long time to learn self-defense, learn first aid, you know. And people don't like blood and guts and everything, and I understand that, you know. And a lot of people panic in situations. I get that too. But I feel bad for you, because you're going to see blood most likely, and you're going to be in situations that you can't control. So keep a cool head, be calm. That's how I got the name, Cool Hand Luke. You know, and I was just like, you know, and it could have been, honestly too, I'll be completely honest, all right? It was my first job out of the Navy. I was still in my early to mid 20s, and I was a cocky thing. I'll admit it, I was. You know, I had to be humbled, and I've been humbled a lot. But you know, if you watch the movie Cool Hand Luke, Paul Newman's character, he had a smart mouth. Well, so did I. So I might have gotten the name too, because I had a pretty smart mouth. But kind of still do at times. But anyway, you know, but yeah, I had to be humbled. And Luke got humbled too, if you've seen the movie, in a big way, unfortunately for him. But anyway, yeah, so what we've got here is a failure to communicate, folks. But I'm done communicating for now. Hope you guys have a good rest of the day, and I hope you enjoyed this mini walk and talk here. I don't know if I'll do one tomorrow or not. I really don't. It depends on how I feel. This is helping me, and there's a nice breeze and stuff, but I just have not felt well lately. And one last thing, someone that you may be aware of, but I cannot mention their name. I don't have permission to, but they have a YouTube channel. Some people may know who they are. You know, God's prophets and watchmen, you know, are really getting hit with major spiritual warfare and battles now. And this particular person was diagnosed with COVID. And like I said, I wish I could mention her name so people could pray for them specifically, but I don't have permission to. And I know we know each other, you know who each other is. I don't communicate with this person very often, but I'm a member of a text group, and I get information about certain people who are been diagnosed with illnesses and certain things that are going on in the spiritual realm. People are witnessing, observing a lot of stuff, folks. A lot of stuff, paranormal type stuff I can't get into. I don't understand it myself, because personally I'm not experiencing it at this level, but some people are experiencing some strange spiritual warfare type stuff. So keep the watchmen, watchwomen on the wall in your prayers, please, because they're getting hit hard. They're getting sick. They're not sleeping. They're just getting hammered on all sides. It's getting bad. So please keep people in prayer that the Lord puts on your heart about these things, because they're doing the best they can for you, really. For you. So you know, look at it that way, I guess. It's a service. Anyway, and it's a free service for the most part. Anyway, you guys have a blessed day. Take care. Bye-bye.